Hi, this is Tracy Hetz. I'm your host of Zoned2BToned. I'm here today and honored to be here today with Mr. Bradley Vierling. He's an NFL player and he played for Pittsburgh Steelers and Jacksonville Jaguars. How are you doing today, Bradley?
Doing great, Tracy. And yourself?
I'm doing great. Not only is he played for the NFL, he is actually one of our native. He lives right here in Warminster, PA, so this is big stuff today. Bradley, we're gonna backtrack this interview because we always want to take it from the beginning. How did this all get started? At what age did you decide that you wanted to play football?
Well, I always wanted to play football even growing up, but I primarily played basketball throughout my younger years. I didn't start playing until I was in 7th grade at Tamanin. I was my first year there, and I ended up making the varsity squad as a 7th grader. Didn't know much about football. I mean, I loved it. I followed the game, but you don't really know as much as you think you do once you start playing. I just ended up making the varsity because I was one of the bigger guys, but it was more so because my work ethic and my determination on the field, which is what got me on the varsity squad. But I still got my head knocked around quite a bit.
I know you did, and of course we can see you are a big guy. How big were you?
Well, when I finished up my years at Tamanin in 9th grade, I was 15, and I was 6 foot, 255 pounds, wore size 15 shoe.
Wow, that's most boys now. They're at 18. That's incredible. So you were definitely built to play sports. Was being in the NFL always a dream of yours?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's always been a dream of mine. I always envisioned myself playing for the Eagles as I was younger. Then as I got older, I just wanted to be able to make it. Yeah, it's definitely been a dream of mine.
High school, we know, is, of course, a different ball game when it comes to playing ball. But how was that transition for you from high school into college ball?
It is an enormous jump, especially going from, we play great high school football around here, but it's nothing compared to the SEC, and Vanderbilt plays in the SEC against Georgia and Florida and Alabama and Auburn, and every single week in that conference you got to have your A game. And the speed of the game was tremendously different. And I also had to change positions. In high school I played offensive tackle and some defensive end and some defensive tackle. And when I got to college, I got moved inside to a center and guard. So that was a big transition for me, learning how to snap the ball and play with the ball in my hands and whatnot. But tremendous difference. It was a big awakening, but you adjust quickly. I mean, if you're a player that picks up on things well and is a smart player and can read people's stances and how people react to things and how the defensive lines, you can pick up on the game and the speed comes. I mean, as older you get, the easier the game comes to you and everything starts to slow down.
I mean, those are huge hurdles for you for one to make that adjustment. But I can see, actually, in high school, you held some serious titles. Can you explain to our viewers of some of the things you've done in high school, some of your accomplishments?
Yeah, as a sophomore, I was on the varsity football team, basketball team, and was our best shot put and discus thrower on our track team. And as the years went on, I progressed in all those sports. I became a 2-sport all-state performing athlete. In discus, I was an all-state track thrower, and also in football, I was all-state on defense. I didn't play basketball my senior year, which was a huge regret for me. So if anybody out there is considering not playing all sports when you're a senior, please do it. It's my only regret I've ever had, not playing my senior year in basketball. But I was actually a captain of my football team, my basketball team as a junior, and my track team for 2 years as a junior and a senior as well. I was a district champion in the shot put my senior year, and I went to the States as a track thrower as well for discus and for shot put, and placed in both.
Wow. Bradley, like everything that it takes to play ball, you basically done it. Track is a big part of it. How did you balance, I mean, being an athlete, being a student? I mean, you had a lot on your plate. How did you balance your lifestyle around all these things?
Yeah, looking back, especially in high school, balancing 3 sports and non-stop, always having to do something and having to be on top of my schoolwork as well, I really kind of had to hone in. I really had to be completely involved in trying to get to the next level. I mean, my family went through some hardships when I was right before I was going into high school, and my father told me back then, you know, if you want to go to a top tier university and you don't want to have a bunch of loans coming out of college, you need to work as hard as you can in order to get to where you want to go and get a scholarship. So that's when I was a younger kid before high school, I made that decision to do it then. And
I love that. He's still young. It kills me when you say that. You'd never think it, but there's a lot that goes along with trying to play ball and grades and things, and I think that's really great that you're able to master that. What advice can you give to a young athlete right now that is basically struggling in high school, and grades is a big part of it? They think that they can just play ball and make it there, and I mean, what advice can you give to these young men?
And we've talked about this before, but I really want to get the message across that being a professional athlete is an enormous hard thing to become. I mean, it's the percentage of people from college alone that make it to the pros is extremely small. I mean, it's less than 2% of us can make it. And I'm beyond blessed in order to have that happen to me. But I feel as if I've earned it because I've worked so hard. Now, yes, I'm talented. I'm blessed with some size and athletic ability, but ever since I've been a young kid, my father and my mother instilled in me that it doesn't take talent to outwork your competition.
Absolutely.
Hard work can go further than any amount of talent you could ever have. And I took that in the classroom and also on the field or on the court or in the track realm as much as I could. And the message that I want to get across is that you don't have to be extremely talented. You don't have to be the biggest kid. You don't have to be the smartest kid.
That's true.
But if you work hard, you get your studies done, and you get in the books, and then you go on the field and you perform the best of your own ability. You don't have to try and be a pro. You don't have to think, I'm going to make it pro, like this is what I want to do. Like, that's a goal, that's a determination, that's something that you want to do, but let's be realistic. You know, not everybody gets to do that. I mean, I can't tell you how many guys I've seen that are more talented than I am, that don't end up making it because they let things get in their way. But if you stay focused and you stay with the mentality of being an extremely hard worker, it does not take talent to work hard, I'm telling you. I mean, I've lived my life by that, and that is the sole reason why I've made as many accomplishments that I have, and I am in the place where I am now in my career. It's not because I'm so talented, because trust me, there are guys out there that can run circles around me. They're stronger than I am, they're bigger than I am. I'm undersized to be an NFL offensive lineman.
I find that hard to believe.
I am. I'm undersized by weight and by height, and
it's tough.
it's
You know what?
just do the best that you can in every situation possible. Just try and get the best out of yourself, because if that's what you're doing, then you're the most successful you can be, and that's what everyone should strive to be. It's just to be the best person that they can personally be for themselves.
Bradley, I'm so glad that you're stressing this and giving this advice to these young men. I do coach cheerleading, I do deal with football programs, and I see it all the time. And these kids are overwhelmed by people telling them, you're so great, you're going to make it to the NFL. That's a lot of pressure, not realizing what it really takes to get there, and that's really good points there that you made, and I appreciate you sharing that with our young viewers. Also, let's get back into your football. Were you drafted into the NFL?
I was not drafted. And there's it makes the road to the NFL even that much more difficult.
Let's definitely talk about this.
You know, there's 7 rounds in the draft,
Right.
and then those guys, they get drafted to a certain team. But you know, they say everybody after the 3rd round, everyone's pretty much on the same playing field. If you're in the 4th to the 7th round, or if you're an undrafted guy like myself. The difference is if you do get drafted, you get a heck of a lot more money up front than you do if you're not drafted. You know, I mean, that's just the way it goes. But an undrafted guy is a person who has been scouted by NFL scouts, might have been worked out by teams, but there's just not that many spots in the draft to draft all the players that they would want. So there's a huge pool of guys that are undrafted people who get picked up by teams, and they get brought in on either a tryout basis, or they get brought in and get specifically signed to a team, and they go through mini camps and OTAs and try and make it into camp, you know, because the numbers go down from 90 to 80 all the way down to 53, so
That's a lot
yeah,
of
it's pretty
pressure.
cutthroat. Yeah,
Oh my
and
God.
you're behind the 8 ball even more so than these guys that were drafted, because when you're a drafted guy, they look at you, you know, as if you're the top tier kind of guys. And these undrafted guys, you know, they really have to prove themselves. I mean, I can't tell you how many
It's like an audition
Yeah,
over and over and
yeah,
over
yeah,
again.
it's
like it
unbelievable,
doesn't
yeah.
end. So it's not as easy as people think it is. We see the glory on the field, but we have no idea what half these guys actually go through. Let's backtrack one more time, Bradley, and talk about the college days of Vanderbilt University. You were recruited by them in 2004. How was that like?
Being recruited in high school was it was probably one of the best times of my life. You know, having different college coaches come in and pull me out of class and go through plays with me and just talk to me, and it was an extremely awesome time of my life. And I ended up having probably around 20 scholarship offers between the 1AA and 1A schools. I picked Vanderbilt #1 first and foremost because of the education that they have there. It's a top 20 university academically, and also they play football in the SEC. So in my eyes, when I was picking my university, I know that football doesn't last forever. I mean, I've had injuries already. I mean, I know that it's a means to an end. So I knew that if I had a Vanderbilt degree in my back pocket to lean on at some point whenever I'm done playing, that's going to help me out more so than anything.
Absolutely, and that's another thing that, again, young athletes don't understand. You got to have a backup plan.
Yeah,
A good
absolutely.
education means a lot. When the body fails, you have a backup plan. And I believe you do have a backup plan with a 3.0 GPA. I think that's pretty good, Bradley. I've done my homework on him. And also it seems that, Bradley, you've had some interesting memories there at Vanderbilt University. You want to talk about some of them?
Yeah, we made a little noise when I was there. My freshman year was when Jay Cutler was there, so I was teammates with him for a year, and that was pretty exciting. And in my junior year, I was elected as a captain, and we did well enough to go to a bowl game for the first time in 35 years. The first time that Vanderbilt had made it back to a bowl game. The first time in 53 years that we had actually won the bowl game.
Wow.
We played against Boston College, who had a streak of 11 or 12 bowl game victories in a row. We broke that streak, and it was actually at home in Nashville at the Music City Bowl, and it was a pretty exciting time for all of us, especially for me being a junior, being a captain, and having another year to play. And
That's
so
amazing.
yeah, it was pretty awesome.
You've had an incredible crop so far. I mean, at 26, you really took your levels pretty far, and that's a nice victory to be a part of at Vanderbilt University. We're going to get into the NFL right now. Bradley, you were signed with Pittsburgh Steelers as an undrafted free agent and released by the Steelers and re-signed by Jaguars. How many years did you play for Pittsburgh?
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of a funny, but kind of like my claim to fame when I actually ended up getting into the NFL. I started off with Pittsburgh, and I was there for probably about 2 to 3 months, you know, through minicamp and OTAs and off-season training, and I got released, which it happens all the time. I mean, it's just part of the job. And I was basically on hiatus for about another about 7 to 8 weeks before I got a call from Jacksonville. And when I got the call from Jacksonville, it was on a Monday, and their last preseason game was on a Thursday, and that's when I got called, was that Monday. So I showed up on Monday, practiced Tuesday and Wednesday, and ended up picking the playbook enough, picking it up enough, and learning enough throughout that week, or those couple days, that I ended up played the entire second half of the game against Atlanta, and ended up getting signed to the team, and I was with Jacksonville all of the 2010 season, I think it was. Yeah, 2010 season I was with Jacksonville, and earned another contract after the season, and started the season with Jacksonville as well. And I've been on and off with Jacksonville for 2 years, and currently right now I'm a free agent, but I'm about to get re-signed as well. So.
Also,
yeah.
so we know the organization has gone through some changes, new owners, new
Yeah.
coaches.
Mhm.
I mean, what is the atmosphere like for you and the players with all these changes?
You know, those guys there, it's an extremely team unity. It's very tight, very cohesive unit, and I think that even when all of this was going on and Coach Del Rio got fired and Coach Tucker took over, I think it brought the team even closer. Now I know that they didn't have very many victories this year, and there was a lot of hardship and whatnot, especially with the rookie quarterback and whatnot, but those guys, I mean, I got to give them all the props in the world. I mean, they would go to work every single day, day in and day out, and give it everything they had and try and be the best that they could be, because in the NFL, every day is a tryout.
Right.
You know, not everybody's getting paid Maurice Jones-Drew money. I mean, there's most guys are like myself who have to go out there every day and prove that you are supposed to be there. That, you know, because there's scouts. I mean, the general managers, everybody at every moment in time. You know, there's scouts on the field during practice, watching us practice. Is this guy good enough? Should we get somebody else in here?
And that's tough, Bradley. That's a lot of pressure. Like always, like you said, always having to prove yourself year after year, trying to stay healthy, you know, enough to be able to play, and that's very difficult. Let's get into some fun stuff now. Bradley, what do you guys do in your off season? What's special for you guys besides probably resting that body that's getting beat up all the time?
First and foremost, that's what most guys do. Once the season ends, everybody's like, all right, just give me a couple weeks and let me do nothing. Let me relax, let me be with my family, let me be with my friends, and I think that continues out through the off-season process, but the NFL job really doesn't stop. I mean, I've been in the gym every single day just about.
I will definitely witness to that.
And,
does come in
you know,
and very hard.
That goes with part of the job. I mean, you can't take too much time off.
Absolutely.
Because right now, there's rookies about to come in, and they're training for the combine, and they're training for their pro days, and they're about to be drafted, and there's the undrafted guys who are about to be
you
signed.
Gotta stay on top of your
I mean, that's the name of the game. It's the NFL stands for not for long, so I mean, you got to be on top at all moments of the day.
Bradley, let's talk about some of everybody always have role models growing up in this sport. Who are some of your role models?
You know, I watched the Eagles growing up. I watched the way Reggie White would play. Just non-stop, go hard, great humanity, great human being, just overall wonderful person. So he was one of them. Specifically, I didn't really watch linemen too much. I mean, I was more of a basketball fan. I loved Michael Jordan.
Okay, yeah, basketball.
You know,
some of your heroes there.
You know, but I would more so gravitate to the guys. Loved Charles Barkley growing up. I just couldn't stand it. Just his attitude, nonstop, go hard. I mean,
he is definitely a character, that's for sure.
Yeah. Specifically, I didn't have too many, you know, football players that I would hone in on. But I mean, I would watch football and basketball nonstop, and I would just watch the way that the superstars would present themselves and the way that they would outwork their competition. I would try and take that and run with it.
You know, it's funny that you say that. A lot of football players, and they do admire that. A lot of them do play basketball when they're off season, when football is not in season. So that's kind of fun, a funny trend with a lot of you football players. You seem to like basketball a lot.
When I was in Jacksonville, we go to the YMCA all the time and run pickup games all the time.
Okay, now, Bradley, this is going to be a fun question because we always ask, where do these guys buy their clothes? Where do you guys buy? I mean, my God, you're some big boys.
Yeah, you know, the Casual Male XL, I mean, that's a place you can go. But you know, a lot of sports stores like Foot Action and Champ Sports, and you know, luckily being down in the Philadelphia area, I can go down like Franklin Mills or out to King of Prussia, and thank God they have bigger sizes for bigger guys, because there's a lot of times where I can't buy shoes in the store. I can't walk into a store and say, give me a 15, and this one I say, sorry, you need to go online. And that's online shopping is very, very big for people of my size and stature and whatnot. You can't just go into a store and say, I want a 2X tall, and that's not going to happen.
Now, I've got to ask you, do you watch what you eat on the off season? I know that you still try to train a little bit after you take your few weeks off to repair, but do you still kind of watch what you eat, or you just eat everything you see?
I wish I could. But Steve Mangan, who trains me here at Healthy Concepts, who's been a big, big part of my training so far this off season, completely taken over and rehauled me. He's taken control of my diet and my power and my strength and whatnot, and I'm just extremely excited for this next season coming up and how strong and powerful and fast and strong I'm going to be. So, yeah, I watch what I eat, because if I don't, my trainer, Steve Mangan's going to be on my butt.
And if anybody knows Steve's really his regimen. I don't even think Steve cheats, but let's ask you that. We will make sure that Steve don't hear about this. So what's your favorite junk food? What do you eat? What's your cheat meal?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I love cheesesteaks. I mean, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Extra cheese.
Extra cheese.
We gotta cut that. We can't let Steve see that. That's too funny. Well, you're a human, so you're allowed to
Yeah,
eat
it
the good
happens,
stuff, and you're gonna
yeah.
burn it off anyway when you train with Steve.
That's what I
Okay,
try to tell myself.
and this question's for the ladies, because I know all the ladies want to know about Bradley. Bradley, are you single?
I am single currently. Yes, I am single.
Zoned2BToned if you need to contact Bradley.
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Okay, last but not least, I would have to ask this question about players. Do you hang out with any other players from the NFL?
Currently here in Pennsylvania, no. But when I all last offseason during the lockout, I was in Jacksonville, and we would get together numerous times throughout the week and hang out or train almost every day together. And like I said, we played basketball a lot just to stay in shape and work on our agility and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, guys stay in contact, I mean, quite a bit. I mean, with social networking and whatnot now, I mean, you kind of don't disconnect from one another. So it makes it a lot easier to stay in contact with your former teammates or guys that you played with in college or on a different team who know this guy who you played with and this and this and that. And so you kind of don't stop. I mean, you kind of stay in contact with everybody.
That's awesome. Okay, so do you know Tom Brady?
Do I know of Tom Brady. I don't know him personally, but one of my teammates.
Anybody's phone number, Bradley.
Yeah, I got some phone numbers. But
I'm trying to get all the dirt.
yeah, one of my teammates I played with at Vanderbilt, he was drafted by the Patriots and played offensive line there for a year, and actually about a year on and off, played a little bit on the team this past year as well, the Super Bowl team that just finished up. And from what I understand, Tom Brady is a non-stop, go hard, perfectionist, and an outstanding football player and human being.
Absolutely. I mean, and of course, the Super Bowl just ended the season. Did end for football. Did you have a favorite that you?
Well, I didn't want the Giants to win. Me being from Philadelphia, and you know, still having a homegrown love for my birds. But yeah,
that's right. I like it.
I didn't like the fact that the Giants won. You know the way New Yorkers are. I mean,
it's tough.
They love their Giants, and they love to tell the Philadelphians how much they love them.
That's okay. We are coming back, so we should be better than ever. Hopefully, maybe we can get you here, Bradley. That would be great.
Nice.
In the England to have full. Well, anyway, Bradley, I want to thank you so very much for taking your time out to do this interview with me. I hope all the young players that are watching learn from some of the experiences that Bradley has gone through, that it is not easy. And you got to put your time and your dues, and foremost, and education does come first.
Absolutely.
Bradley, thank you so very much again.
Thank
do you have a website if anyone wants to get in contact with you?
I do not have a website, but I do have an email address. It's bradley.vierling@gmail.com, and you can hit me up there whenever you need anything. I'll be more than happy to help anybody out I can.
I love it. Maybe some motivational workshops at some of the schools, before the season starts with them, before you get back to your preseason.
Absolutely.
Bradley, best of wishes and best of luck with the Jaguars. And hey, Tracy Hess, I'm honored here to be with Bradley Vierling. Tracy Hess, Zoned2BToned. We'll be right back.